Hey guys, it's me, EmberwulfZ, and in today's video, my intro is sounding like Vikstars. Wait, sorry, wrong intro. In today's video, I survived 100 days in hardcore Minecraft on a sky island. It was sad that I had to do it solo, but I still had a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoy it. On day 1, all I started with was a tree. Literally just a tree. So, I had two options. Either I mine the tree and start progressing in the mod pack, or I do a diving header into the void like Robin van Persie against Spain in 2014. I know which one I would rather choose. Anyways, getting back to the mod pack, I was lucky enough to get 7 saplings from the tree and all of its wood. I then used the wood to make slabs, allowing me to expand the island. Then, using the wood from the next tree, I made myself a wooden axe to speed up the chopping process. And yes, twerking makes the trees grow extremely fast. I mean, that's how it works in real life if you know what I'm saying. After a few more trees, I had obtained the required amount of wood for the completion of the very first quest. Oh, I like me an apple pie. Wait, what? A diamond mesh? Yo, that's sick. The rewards from the loot crates were fantastic, but I was very curious about the cursed coins and stones that were also given as a reward. I soon figured these cursed items could be traded in the shop for rewards such as loot crates, iron bundles, and gold bundles. I went with the iron bundle, and upon breaking it I obtained quite a lot of iron, and that was just the first out of the 12 blocks. With my newly found resources, I made myself an iron axe and an iron pickaxe. Furthermore, I then began to collect silkworms from the leaves and then infested the tree with them, thereby allowing me to collect string. With the string I made a comfy bed and our first sieve. Before sleeping, I quickly collected all my rewards and opened all of the loot crates. Day 2 already? What the? On the beautiful morning of day 2, I made myself a furnace, thereby completing another quest for another loot crate. I slapped it open, giving me some more cobblestone, which actually wasn't all too bad. After that, I made myself an oak barrel so that I could begin forming more dirt at the cost of saplings. Moreover, I made even more barrels and expanded the island so that if it started raining, the barrels could collect multiple sources of water for me. After some repeated chopping and composting, I was able to then form an array of saplings now rather than just one. I spent the following 2 days harvesting as much wood as possible while also forming lots of dirt that I could sieve. Yes! Oh, thank God it's finally raining. During the next day, I hammered some cobblestone all the way down to dust so that I could finally make some clay. Then I made a compressed hammer and used it on the 16 compressed sand I obtained from the previous loot crate. But before sieving the dust, I wanted to speed up the process by expanding my array of sieves to a 3x3 area. This quickly gave me enough bone meal so that I could craft an unfired crucible. I then fired the crucible via smelting it in the furnace, and then the crucible was now ready to start making lava. Well, very slowly at least. My inventory was really starting to get clogged by all the excess items from sieving, and so I decided to make another chest to dump my items in. Furthermore, I then made myself 2 buckets via the iron loot blocks. I had tons of quests done now, and so I collected all my rewards and opened a bunch more loot crates. Soon after, I used the diamond mesh on a heavy sieve to sieve compressed dust. This resulted in me collecting 20 redstone, which is pretty damn good. Eventually, the cobblestone in the crucible had melted enough, leaving me with a bucket of lava. Finally, infinite cobblestone. I don't have to sieve dirt anymore. Oh, thank goodness. After a well-deserved rest, I used my spare iron in order to upgrade the cobble gen. Following that, I opened a bunch of loot crates again, and one of them gave me an item that completed another quest, and this quest reward was an epic loot crate. So of course, I had to slap it open, just to get another piece of frickin' food. I then used the remaining iron loot blocks and also bought some gold loot blocks. After that, I began a 2-day process of making a philosopher's stone. And by sieving a bunch of dust, I had obtained a philosopher's stone by day 9. And what better way to celebrate than by purchasing a legendary loot crate. Yo, what? I got a legendary loot bag. To be quite honest, I was very disappointed by the loot I got from the legendary items. Like, I could have definitely got something game changing from those. But nah, let's have some banging munch instead. Moving on from that, I decided it was time to make an infinite water source just in case anything happened to the barrels. While making as much lava as possible, I continued the resource grind by sieving loads of gravel, hence obtaining an extra 6 diamonds and emeralds. I then used these to make an emerald pickaxe. The following morning, I made a cobblestone platform so that I could use lava under the crucible to triple the speed of lava creation. While lava was forming, I once again made myself busy by making a coal generator. It was now day 14 and the 4 buckets of lava were ready. So I used those 4 buckets and 4 buckets of water in a stone barrel in order to make my first 4 pieces of obsidian. You may be wondering why on earth I made obsidian in the first place, or why I only made 4. Don't worry, hang in there, because I am a genius. It was all part of the master plan, to obtain a transmutation table. I hope that sounded dramatic because this table is amazing. Just before making the table though, I made a pulverizer to start doubling my ores. For your reference, with this table you have like this combined energy called EMC, which is created by putting items into the table and then using this total EMC, you can then pull out whatever resources you have previously put in there as long as you have enough EMC for them. So, 1 piece of cobblestone is 1 EMC. However, 1 diamond is 50,000, meaning I could pull out 50,000 pieces of cobblestone by putting in 1 diamond. I hope you can see how that works, as that is a big part of this mod pack. The next day, I made an emerald axe and 8 new furnaces. I then casually grabbed 8 stacks of charcoal out of the transmutation table and put those into the corresponding furnaces. Furthermore, from an epic loot crate, I got 8 blocks of diamond, which was just madness, because that is worth nearly 600,000 EMC. The day following that, I began working towards Emc Generation. And with relative ease, I managed to get my very first collector. It only generates 4 EMC per second, but eventually I would upgrade it into the thousands or even millions per second. However, it wasn't actually generating anything at all. It took me a while to realise that I needed to connect it to a personal EMC link for it to actually work. This was pretty expensive as it required red matter. Red matter is a step up from dark matter, hence I had to make that first. But in the end, I just about managed to make it, and I then also upgraded the collector to a red matter collector, which generates 40 EMC per second, which is a massive improvement. Later that day though, I opened another load of loot crates and got 8 emerald blocks and also a really cool bow. Moreover, with all of these emeralds, I made myself full emerald armor as well as an emerald sword. Wait, what? The following day, I somehow managed to discover that the Philosopher's Stone was a lot more useful than it appeared. You could right click with it on dirt to turn it into sand, and then sand into grass. This was great as grass can sometimes be really long to get during SkyBlock playthroughs. On day 18, I began the building of my new base. It was going to be much bigger and one hell of a lot cleaner than that disgusting wooden platform. By the end of the following day, I had managed to make a circular dirt platform edged with some chiseled cobblestone. I have to say that the EMC table was so clutch as it basically provides infinite cobblestone and dirt. I also wanted another epic loot crate, so I made an alchemical chest in order to complete the quest. And from it I got a legendary loot crate. And from that I got dragon leggings, which seem to be really strong leggings from the Ender Dragon that give powerful buffs when the whole set is equipped, such as flight, resistance and strength. I didn't want to use them yet, so I made an armor stand for them to rest on, and then I rested until the next morning. Oh, I didn't think about that. Overnight, mobs had taken over the dirt platform, so I took them out one by one, making sure not to die, because I didn't want to risk the whole playthrough already. And killing an enderman gave me my first ender pearl. After that, I made an alchemical bag from the chest I made earlier, so that I basically had another inventory. During the 9-day building process of the new base, I managed to get a loot bag from a mob, which gave me an inventory upgrade. Now I have so much space because of this and also the alchemical bag. By the end of day 32, I had finished the new base for now and was very happy with how it all turned out and how much potential it had. I then spent the following day moving everything into the new base, and once that was done, I took my first sleep in the new base. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. I also managed to make some fancy item frames for the chests, and I was going to use the chests for any items that aren't compatible with the EMC table. Suddenly, I realised that I had completed a lot of the basic Minecraft quests, and from that point, I made it my mission to complete all the basic Minecraft quests before the end of 100 days. In order to obtain a tier 4 cobblestone generator, I needed blaze rods, and so I made an alchemy table that converts items and EMC into new items. So, for example, blaze powder and EMC can become a blaze rod. And there we had it. I managed to make a tier 5 maxed out cobblestone generator. I collected my quest rewards and opened the crates. While I began working towards power generation via magmatic dynamos, I also finished up the flooring of the base. I gave the top floor a stone slab style finish. God, that is hard to say. And I went for a wooden style for the second floor. Moreover, I actually built around the bedrock near the base as I would need it soon for the wireless power. I then got back to making machinery by making a metallurgic infuser, which allows me to make alloys and technical parts for even more complex machinery. And just before bed, I had accumulated enough EMC to upgrade one red matter collector to a magenta matter collector. The following day, I made an induction smelter which will further allow me to make complex metals and alloys. I then used this to fuse an ender pearl and an iron ingot together to make a pulsating iron ingot. I then spent the next 8 days working on power generation, which included setting up crucibles, iron pipes, fluid pipes, energy pipes, and also flux networks. Flux networks is the wireless energy thing I was talking about earlier, just so you know. My main time consumer was figuring out how all the pipes worked in this mod pack, but I eventually got around it and we had power. So, for those of you who can't comprehend my mega mind, let me break it down. Essentially, the cobblestone from the generator goes in the crucibles, which then melts into lava, and that lava is then transferred into the dynamos, which generate power from that. Then, this energy gets stored in the network, and it's kind of a cheeky little system when you think about it. I desperately needed more EMC, and so I spent a few days just sieving through compressed gravel for as many resources as possible. Just keep sieving, just keep sieving, just keep sieving. I got so many ore pieces that I just couldn't be asked to craft into chunks, so I made an auto compressor. I then let those ores smelt while I continued sieving more gravel. I didn't want to continue sieving for too long, and so I got started with auto sieving. After getting it all set up, I can now just put compressed gravel into the top chest, and over time ores would build up in the chest nearer to the table, including blocks of diamond and emerald. I then grabbed all the beautiful resources I had formed over the past few days and chucked them into the EMC table for a grand total of 2.1 million EMC. And then I spent pretty much all the EMC I just gained by upgrading my other matter collector to magenta. My next target was flight, and after a bit of digging I found these glowing chorus fruits. They had an EMC value, meaning that I could infinitely produce them and then consume them to gain temporary creative flight, which was a bit insane. All I needed was chorus fruit and glowstone dust, whereby chorus fruit could be obtained by putting an Eye of Ender in the alchemy table. I'm a bird. And as easy as that, I had creative flight. I then also made another side platform before going to sleep. The next day, I made another red matter collector, leaving me with 3 collectors now, 2 magenta and 1 red. Overall, they were producing nearly 300 EMC per second, which is a bit crazy to think because at the very beginning, I was getting only 4 EMC per second. Let me do the maths in my head real quick. So if I take the second derivative of 300 and then square that against the symmetry of the graph, then as long as all my calculations are correct, that's an improvement of 7,500%. Thank you, thank you. I then continued forward by making a nether portal near to the bedrock. I also discovered that I can put experience into the EMC table and then just take that out when I need it. So I basically had infinite XP, however it was quite costly in terms of EMC though, so it wasn't all too overpowered yet. The nether was likely going to be challenging, and so I had to be prepared as I didn't want to die. As remember, it's hardcore, so if I die, it's all over. I started off by making an enchantment table, and then realised, who needs enchants when you have creative flight? So, after gathering some courage, I headed into the nether. Why does this weirdo keep doing evil laughs after regular things? Hey, you talking to me? Yeah. Why are you trying to make the nether seem so dramatic and evil? It's fun to do an evil laugh, isn't it? It feels amazing. What? I explored the nether for a short duration, gathering any nearby ores and resources, and suddenly came across a nether fortress. Yo, what? A nethered emerald? That's cool. There were normal ores and also nethered versions of the ores, and these nethered versions would smelt for double, so like one nethered emerald would smelt for 2 emeralds, which is pretty sick. It turned out to be really quite a bad nether fortress, however it was very close to the portal, so I couldn't really complain. I was now on the hunt for some ghasts, as I needed their tears to make regen potions for some powerful bookshelves. And when I found one, I absolutely clapped it with its own fireball, but unfortunately didn't get a ghast here. I soon found another, and this time I actually managed to collect the ghast tier that I came for. Once back in the overworld, I smelted up the nethered emeralds, diamonds and lapis, and then collected all of my built up quest rewards. I opened all of the crates and obtained a really cool ring that gave me permanent haste 1 and speed 1. I then dumped everything into the EMC table and over doubled my total EMC. Furthermore, I opened a common loot bag and got a crafting table upgrade to my inventory. The following day, I was able to finish making all the bookshelves and built an enchantment area on the top floor. Whoa, 72 levels? That can give like tier 9 enchantments. With all the spare EMC I had, I upgraded the last red matter collector to magenta and also spent lots of EMC on solidified experience. I got myself to level 80 and began enchanting. The first thing I spent my levels on was a sharpness 7 multi-shot 8 book, which I was pretty happy with, but then I enchanted my boots and got depth strider 7 and multi-jump 7 as well as unbreaking 9, which is a bit crazy. The only problem was that the multi-jump was interfering with my flight, meaning I would have to use different boots at some point. I then enchanted my chestplate, a book, my leggings, and another 2 books. I then slapped one of the books onto my sword, and then the other onto my Civ's diamond mesh. Over the next couple of days, I made sure to complete lots of quests, and so I had a bunch of crates to open again. I managed to get a bunch of really cool ender gear that were way more exciting than my bow. Wait, what? This acts as an elytra? And this can teleport? This ender gear was super interesting as I'd never seen some of the enchants before, and it was very strong too, especially this pickaxe. Early the next day, I headed into the nether to take the pickaxe out for a spin. Yo, it didn't do anything. Whoa, okay, I guess I was wrong. This pickaxe was really good for finding ores in the nether, and so I continued using it until I had collected every single form of nethered ore. This meant that I had completed all the nethered ore quests, and hence I could open a legendary loot crate. Nah man, that's a scam. Wait, what? Now that's what I'm talking about. A casual efficiency 20 tool. Pretty standard. After the loot opening, I grabbed the built up resources from the chest and put them into the EMC table, finally allowing me to upgrade to the next tier of matter, which was pink matter. I then spent a couple of days making a load of parts for an elite smelting factory. And I mean, those days were definitely worth it as this thing can smelt 7 items at a time. Furthermore, you can also add speed and energy modifiers to it, thereby making it even better. The following day, I grabbed a bunch of experience and headed up to enchant a few sieve meshes. I couldn't really have asked for a better mesh enchant, to be fair. Then, when I went back to the bottom layer of my base, I upgraded to 3 auto sieves rather than 1, and also put the smelting factory at the end of the line so that now everything was being auto smelted for me, ready to go into the EMC table. With all of the resources formed so far, I was able to get another pink matter collector. Gradually, I managed to make all of the speed and muffling upgrades for the smelting factory. However, now it was using a hell of a lot more power which I did not have. And so, logically, I began working towards upgrading my power production. My brain decided on solar panels, and so began the solar panel creation process. These solar panels were a lot more effort to make than they were actually worth, and it probably would have been a better decision to make something like a reactor. But, me being the stubborn donut that I am, I committed to making the solar panels. The worst thing as well was that the solar panels didn't actually have an EMC value, and so I was reminded how you actually need to automate things in actual Minecraft, where you don't just have a magic table that can create everything for you. I ended up on a massive detour because I started making a sag mill and an enhanced alloy smelter in order to speed up the solar panel making process. It took a long while, but I would probably need those items at some point anyways, and we still reached the main goal of providing enough power for the smelter via solar panels. Because all of that was so long-winded, the EMC had built up enough so that I could make purple matter. Hence, I used that to upgrade one of the collectors. Furthermore, by making all of these crazy items, I completed a bunch of quests, leaving me with a load more loot crates to open. An ultimate furnace? That's 9,000% faster than a normal furnace. Oh my goodness. The furnace was utterly cracked out of its mind and was insta-smelting everything. My only problem was that the item conduits didn't work on the furnace, and so I had to devise a workaround to get things going. A couple of days later, I had made a sufficient workaround using hoppers. However, it was still not optimal due to the speed of the hoppers compared to the item conduits and the ultimate furnace. During that time, I managed to find alternate item cables, which were a lot less hassle to set up in general. However, they still didn't work on the furnace for some reason, and so hoppers would remain as the temporary fix. The resources had really built up once again, and so I transferred all the blocks and ingots over for that juicy EMC, baby! Later on, I realised that I only had one quest left on the Minecraft chapter, so I made that last drawer controller and cherished that beautiful sound of the achievement. Following that, I upgraded my final collector to a purple matter collector. I think it's safe to say that the resource production was working well, as I came down to tons of ingots once again. In fact, there were so many that it forced me to make another auto compressor so that they would get turned into blocks before going into the chest. Yo, 10 million EMC just from that? I got inspiration from the Ultimate and Supremium furnaces and decided to start mystical agriculture. Now, normally you would have to set up Inferium farms and crops and mobs, etc. However, when I think about it, I can just hippity hoppity, your EMC is now my property. After learning all of the essences, I learned all of the ingots, and then for some of the other mystical items, I was going to need wither skulls and nether stars, and so I got to work on that. After flying around for a bit, dashing from one wither skeleton to the next, I managed to grab a wither skull. I headed home and chucked that in the EMC table ready for me to fight a wither. Here goes nothing. I spawned the wither in the nether and backed up before beginning to bow it down. I managed to get the wither to half health before even getting hit, and when the wither came down, I brought out the sword and started slashing at it. I got hit quite a few times, but luckily the god apple was taking the brunt of the damage for me. And swiftly after that, the wither was defeated. So I grabbed another star and headed home. It was clear to me that my gear needed to be better, as realistically, if I'm not one-shotting a wither, what am I doing? Having obtained the Wither Skulls and the Nether Stars, I was now ready to continue crafting Supremium armor and tool cores. Crafting was a bit of a pain as I had to craft all of them up from Inferium all the way to Supremium, but luckily once made, I could chuck them into the EMC table, saving me the craft of doing them all again. I soon managed to craft Supremium armor and then Supremium tools. The Supremium set is very strong in general, but it also comes with an amazing set bonus of permanent flight, which was my main gravitation towards the armor. The next day, I made some Supremium arrows, which are a bit cracked, I must say. These arrows give blindness, slowness, poison, weakness, and wither, as well as a 4.5 damage bonus just to put the cherry on the cake. Furthermore, I realised that each piece of Supremium equipment has an empty charm slot, and you can use a tinkering table to put special charms on each item. So I got to work making all the charms I wanted, while considering that it is only one charm per piece of equipment, so I had to choose carefully. I put strength 2 on the sword, which bumped it up to an insane 41 attack damage. And then added quick draw to the bow, absorption to the helmet, wither resistance to the chest plate, fire resistance to the leggings, and lastly resistance to the boots. I was now looking spicy, especially if I eat a Supremium apple, which is actually better than a god apple. Moreover, my EMC had built up enough for me to upgrade a collector to a violet matter collector, giving me an overall about 15,000 EMC per second. The following day, I realised that my gear needed some enchantments. However, the Supremium gear seemed as though it couldn't actually be enchanted, yet books still seemed to work. And hence, I began using the enchanter to cherry pick a few enchants at the cost of lapis, XP, a book and quill, and a resource that corresponds to a particular enchantment. I could have just enchanted books in the enchant table, but I didn't want anything annoying such as multi-jump or just any other enchant like that. I got protection 5 on all my gear and also depth strider 3 on my boots. And then added sharpness 5 to my sword, as well as fire aspect 2 and leech 4, and power 5, flame and infinity to my bow. During the enchanting session, my resources had built up once again, and I traded them in for 30 million EMC, which is just bonkers. This gave me enough to make another violet matter collector, and I also remembered to add efficiency 5 to my Supremium Paxel. I then spent the next few days adding more side platforms to the side of my base, and then actually put these platforms to use by moving all of my auto-sieving stuff up there. The finish was a lot cleaner this time, and it was also more efficient, as firstly I used more sieves, and secondly I used auto hammers and a cobblestone generator to ensure that it will never run out of compressed gravel to sieve. Now that everything was set up, including enchanting all the hammers, I thought it was time to make a big upgrade. I was going to save up for a personal EMC tablet, which means that I can access my EMC anywhere via the item. The only problem was that the tablet costs about 100 million EMC. But with my new resource production and also 2 violet matter collectors, I was able to actually achieve that pretty quickly. Oh, sick. It comes with its own crafting table as well. With not many days left, I spent the majority of them really finishing the structure of the base and fleshing it out a bit. And boom, there we had it. The base structure was complete. Damn, I'm excited for 200 days. Imagine how I can expand this and decorate it. Guys, remember to comment a rating out of 10 and also like the video if you are excited for 200 days, as I need you to let me know whether it's worth continuing. You know what? If this video gets 3k likes, I'll work my butt off and try and get 200 days of this done within about 2 weeks. Yo, that's a good deal. People better make sure to subscribe too. After that cheeky little base tour, I grabbed all of the diamond and emerald blocks and turned them into EMC and made our first blue matter collector. 60,000 EMC per second. Now it's crazy to think I only started with 4. It was now time to get prepared for the end, and I started by making a warp stone and a waystone. I put the waystone at the very peak of my base and got to work on an end cake. I grabbed an extra waystone and I was now ready to head into the end. Mwahahaha. Just stop. Please. I popped a Supremium apple and started taking out the end crystals. Flight allowed me to swiftly take out all the end crystals, and now the dragon had no defenses left. I shot volleys of arrows at the dragon before she came down to rest upon her perch. Each swing was doing about 1/10 of her health, until I landed a fat crit that one-shot the dragon. Oh my. This sword's got bunda. I grabbed up all the loot and then headed back to my beautiful base. I made one final blue matter collector before the end of the 100 days. Goodbye for now, my beauty. Oh baby, what an amazing 100 days. Guys, if you couldn't tell, I really enjoyed making this 100 days video. And if you did too, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know of any improvements to my video or what to do in the next 200 days. But we gotta get to 3k likes first, of course. I hope you guys have a great day and I'll catch you in the next one.